So, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of having both conservatives and liberals in our society and how both contribute to having a great country. It's difficult to define conservative and liberal, and people do it in all sorts of ways. My favorite way I've heard it defined, though, is by Jordan Peterson, who's a professor that talks often about these types of things. And he says this: hierarchies are inevitable in this world. What a hierarchy is it's a system or a scale of some people being really good at things and they're at the top, and some people not being so good and they're on the bottom. The reason that hierarchies are inevitable is because when humans recognize something has value, there will always be people better at achieving that value and people not quite as good. That means that hierarchies are inevitable. So take something like food production. We recognize that producing food is important for humanity to survive. There are going to be people really good at that and people not so good. That means the hierarchy is inevitable. And this applies, there's all sorts of hierarchies all the time. So there's athletic hierarchies, entertainment hierarchies, job hierarchies, all sorts of things. We're all good and bad in different hierarchies. That's what makes this country amazing, is there's so many, so we could all specialize. That's the idea of capitalism and individualism. We could all specialize in the hierarchies we're good at. What conservatives are people that look at those hierarchies and say, we recognize these hierarchies are important and they help us achieve the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. What liberals are people that say, that's true, the hierarchy is inevitable, but two things. One, we need to constantly challenge the hierarchy, because if we don't, then instead of skill taking you to the top or competency taking you to the top of the hierarchy, you end up with corruption and things like that. And second, no matter how impressive the people at the top of the hierarchy are, we always need to remember that we need to take care of the people at the bottoms of those hierarchies too. So because of that, it's like a yin and a yang, that you need both of these sides. You need the conservative ideals of saying, yes, we need the hierarchies, they're important. And the people that are at the top of those hierarchy are important and it helps society as a whole. But we also need those liberals that are saying, but we need to look out for the people at the bottom of those hierarchies as well. And we also need to make sure that competency is what means people are at the top of these hierarchies, as opposed to corruption and things like that. When we have both of these voices working in tangent, it constantly, we're having a shift as to where we need to be. Do we need to bring the hierarchy back to the center? Is it getting too corrupt? Are the people at the bottom being too far left behind? And that's what makes our society great. But we need both of those voices. That's why it's important that you might think people disagree with you politically, but that's okay. We just need to agree on the goals, that we want a great world for everyone. We want our country to do as good as possible. But we understand that it's important to have voices on both sides. That's why I don't want to see extremists take over either the Republican or the Democratic Party. There's a lot of things to complain about in both parties. I get that. But I think that we need to be careful having people that are just throwing the entire system out and saying that, we need open borders, or that, like people on the right that would be white nationalists to say we only want people of a certain color here. All of those ideas are bad. So we want a vibrant, at least two parties in this country that represent that, which would be the Republicans and Democrats. That's why we need to remember that we need to be civil in discussing things with our friends that are on the other side of that equation. And we need both voices in order to succeed and have the best possible country. So, hey, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be putting out new material weekly. And follow me on Twitter at @NorRobert at Twitter. So thanks, everyone, and have a good one.